From Tokyo to London, across the globe, respecting the craft, we're in the know. No gimmicks or fakes, just pure passion and skill. The best talents from every wrestling hill. We dive deep into the stories behind the ring. Respecting the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, respect the fight. We bring the best, we can't hide. Respect the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, respect the fight. We bring the best, we can't hide. We dive deep into the stories behind the ring. Respect the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, respect the fight. We bring the best.
And we are live. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 274, and I have the pleasure once again of being joined by one of the minds behind the craft and now Constant Wrestling. He is, I said last time, I'm going to say it again, one of the very best Jersey All-Pro light heavyweight champions. He is the innovator himself. Archadia, what's going on, man? Good evening.
Two things. One, you got to stop doing that because I told you last time, please don't. You can't put me in the same sentence as some of those guys. And number two, you got to stop using pictures from 2016 because people are going to expect that that's what I still look like. And I do not at all look like that.
I'm just every time we do this, I'm just gonna find a younger picture.
Every time. So by the last time we're doing this, you just use my kindergarten picture.
That's it. It's just gonna keep getting younger and younger every time.
Oh my.
But no, I was like, this one, I was like, oh wait, I did have one that didn't have any branding. It was just a promo pic. I was like, let's use this. Because
Is your theme song on Spotify?
It is not yet. I'm trying to get it to.
I would probably put it in my shuffled playlist and just like go. I'm on the treadmill trying to get back in shape, and I'm just rocking out to Respect the Craft.
No, thank you. I will send you the file. I'll send you the file.
So good. Who is it?
So funny enough, it's Stefan Cricks. He's Jessica Havoc's brother.
Oh, okay.
All the music for Pro Wrestling Revolver. I got connected through Revolver with him, and he does quick turnarounds. Like he does custom music very quickly.
It's good stuff.
Yeah,
it's really good. The first time you had me on, and you were like, all right, here we go, and you pressed play. I was like so into it. I was just like air drumming, and this is a very good theme song.
And we tried, man. We tried to upgrade everything. We have this. I forgot I was gonna press this when I introduced you, because now we have that. We have production value here, so we've increased everything. But
you just boo everything do you boo? You have a boo button?
You did not get a boo one, just in case. Okay. What's going on, Corey?
You wanted to restrain yourself.
Yeah, I was like, let's not have a boo. I did because just for when Theo Homicide comes back, we got to have gunshots though. Just so we do his intro.
Oh my god!
But no, we are once again joined here by Archadia. Last time we had you on, we announced the idea of Constant Wrestling fully having the event. We are now less than 2 weeks away. It is now a thing. It is now in its full glory here with the event happening next Saturday. I have to start with that. How are you feeling, man? We are less than 2 weeks away from the very first event here.
I feel good. I feel proud of what we've been able to accomplish card-wise. I think that's the biggest thing for me is that And it goes along with what you do here. You know, your podcast is Respect the Craft, and that's something that's huge with me and with the content that I put out there. I didn't want to have a card that I didn't feel um, spoke to what I believe in about the wrestling business, and I feel like I've been able to really do that and get it done. Yeah, and I think I've been able to balance a lot of it of guys that, you know, like I started with, guys that I met along the way, and guys that I don't know, or girls that I don't know at all. And I think that's a good balance to have. You know, I'm not too many, you know, veterans, too many rookies, um, too many people that I don't know, because honestly, for me, it's hard for me to trust someone I don't know, and even if seeing them on film and looking at them and being like, oh yeah, well they have the skills, I don't know what kind of person they are.
Yeah.
I think that's important for me, and I think to go back to your question, how am I feeling? I feel like I accomplished that.
No, that's awesome. Especially again, doing this for the first time now, having the vision first, and then to now see it start to play out here. And it's one of those where I can imagine at first it's like, okay, cool, everything's working out, the announcements are coming, all this, and then the unfortunate card subject to change has been a big part, unfortunately, of this card here. But I
Yeah,
remember seeing the post and I was like, I feel like something's coming when you said, and I thought this is gonna be fun, huh? And I'm like, here comes Arcadia realizing the promoter side of things. Um,
yeah.
how's that been for
And
you
and
dealing with the unfortunate
um,
stress
I
that I
think I
feel
think
like a lot
it's more sad uh, that Jordan's not part of it from a personal point of view, because a lot of what I did um, surrounded around the idea that I wanted Jordan to be the focus of our show. Um, and I've been in constant contact with him since before we even started planning the show. You know, I tried to get him on the quest. I tried a lot of things, and honestly, when the idea of the show came about and we started putting together ideas, Jordan was a um, I forgot the phrase that you used. It was like when you go and you buy a house, you're like, oh, I must, like, he's a must have. He was one of those guys that if he wasn't part of it, I didn't want to do it, because you know he's been my number one as far as watching and just, you know, relating to. And I wanted to have an idea to showcase him the best way that we could, and being able to get Jay and putting him in there with him was, you know, dream scenario for me, to be able to take someone that I respect as much as I respect Jay Lethal, and to be able to put him into the ring with, you know, someone I've watched since they were 16 years old grow into the, you know, performer that they are now. That was the main focus. So to see and to hear the news was probably the biggest blow I could have taken as a promoter personally. Professionally, you know, I learned very early on no one's replaceable. You can, you know, figure things out and stuff like that. But overall, um, personally, I think that's where it hit me the most was losing Jordan.
yeah. No, and I definitely I remember when I saw that and we spoke, and I'm like, it was more of even that knowing how much he's meant to you, how much you've meant to him, just seeing that effect on him, on Pat, on Griff, on those guys that they definitely have looked up to you and had those nuances that you see in them.
Well,
It
maybe
definitely
Jordan more than the other ones, but
no, definitely. With Jordan, you see a lot of just like he's taking that inspiration a lot and influence what he does
yeah,
now.
we've got a great relationship, man, and it comes with, like, we were the perfect mold for each other at the time, knowing that, you know, I was willing to help younger guys out. He was always willing to take that information in, and that's what always impressed me about Jordan, is that he is a lifelong learner
Yeah.
in this game. He never stops learning. He never stops trying to improve himself. He never stops trying to be better, and he's always questioning himself. We've had late night talks about, you know, why do I even do this kind of questions, and then sometimes it's like, you know, I love this so much, and it's been a wild ride of watching him go from the kid that I met, in South River, New Jersey at UWA Elite when he was 16 years old to now. So
No, definitely. And again, that evolution has come with a lot of those hardships, a lot of the things that, again, it was a reason I can imagine this match was so important and so pivotal for this inaugural event here, having it would have been him versus Jay Lethal here. Again, two cornerstones of their eras in a sense. But again, it's one of those where I guess it's the cliche of timing is everything and who knows what could happen in the future, you know?
exactly. Yep, absolutely. And when one door closes for someone, another door opens for someone else.
Definitely, definitely. We're about to touch on that, but before we get into that, I definitely want to touch the chat here for a second. What's going on, Matt? Awesome here. What's up, y'all? Hope all is well. Arcadia, good luck with the show coming up. Thank you, Matt. There you go. And then
Thanks,
we got
Matt.
VXS, my boy Isaac in the chat.
All right.
Yeah, bro. Good luck. There you go. Much love to Isaac.
Some of my favorite shows I was ever a part of was those early VXS shows. I was on the first VXS show ever. It was in a four-way with EA James, Matt Travis, and Jimmy Lloyd. And then I worked Leo Rush there. I worked Mark Quinn there. Yeah, those guys were great to me. And I mean, it's obvious that how good of people they are coming on your podcast, getting in the chat just to wish me luck. I mean, that's a great person right there.
No, definitely, definitely so. And as well, what's going on, Brian Pro? Much love, always much love. He's definitely looking forward to this. That's awesome. See, that's what I've been saying. That just even the initial announcement when we made it here, it got a great reaction of just people were looking forward to see what could happen. Because, like I told you, one of the just most innovative minds when it comes to this, you and TJ Blade as well. Just seeing what the quest was, it was like you knew something was going to happen here with Constant. And then
I wouldn't consider. I mean, maybe TJ Blade will take you up on that offer to call him innovative, but I don't. I don't think I'm innovative. I think I just like what I like, and I book the people that I like, and I think I told you this last time, or maybe just in private conversations we've had with each other. It's like um, I'm booking this the most selfish way possible.
Yep.
I'm booking people that I want to watch wrestle and that I want to hang out with. Like it's not. There's nothing innovative about just wanting to surround yourself with the people you love.
True, but it's also the way you're doing it, because, and this was one of those that it's a mix of what we said last, but also conversations we've had since that you're booking though people that in the pairings that you are, it's like, I didn't think about it like that. Cause we've talked about certain pairings that I was like, oh, what if you do this? It's like, oh, but this way I'm like, okay. Now I want to see it. It's one of those that it started to click. And
I think we've done that. I think I've tried to, and maybe this could go to a little bit of what you're saying is I've tried to make sure that in each pairing and each matchup, the strengths of each person is apparent and available. Like I don't want to put two people together where their weaknesses are going to be shown. I want people to be at their best when they're working each other.
Yeah. No, and again, it's one of those where you see that also. You put it in a tweet the other day, and it felt so just perfect with what's going on here, of just that feel of how even JP used to be, and I feel like it might have been on purpose or might not have been, of just how certain matches are going to be, how the atmosphere is going to be, and just the overall vibe of the show itself just has that aesthetic of what. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the walking. First of all, I mean, I was 20 years old when I got into JAP, and to walk into that locker room and see the guys that I did and be around the guys that I did, it was intimidating to be there. So I kind of feel like I wanted to have some of that, at least guys that have been around and done enough that young guys will walk in and be like, oh my God, like that's Jay Lethal or that's, Mike Bailey. And that's what our locker room is about. But also I want to put people in a position as kind of like put up or shut up, like if you're going to do this and you're going to make this your craft, respect the craft, get in there and do it with guys that have been around or girls that have been around for a very long time and make sure that you can hang. Because I think that's a lot of the matches that I've booked is prove it matches.
Yeah.
and I think part of that comes from the position that I was put in. I don't know if I ever told you the story about my first match, not my first match in JP, but like my first big match that kind of put me on the map.
No, you did not share that. What?
Okay, so I was supposed to be on the pre-show in a tag match, me and Nino Capone, who doesn't wrestle anymore, against Dixie, and I think it was a 3-on-2. I think it was all of the H Effect. I think it was Dixie, Deranged, and Insane Dragon or Izzy. And the light heavyweight title match on the show was supposed to be B-Boy versus M-Dog 20. And M-Dog 20 missed his flight and didn't show up. And they walked around the locker room, and B-Boy was like, that guy, I want to wrestle him. And it was me. Because apparently he had seen stuff that I did on the pre-shows, because I couldn't break out of the pre-show. For about a year, I was just wrestling 2 to 5 minute matches on the pre-show against, Cheech and Cloudy, against Eric Stevens, who blew up. He was a Roderick Strong student. Yep. And I wrestled Eric Corvus on the pre-show. But that's it. And then they started doing Worldwide, which was the episodic TV show, like the episodes they were releasing. I got squashed by Havoc in 30 seconds. I wrestled a 4-minute match with Reefer. Like, so I was supplemental talent at the most. Yeah. And because B-Boy saw something in me and said, hey, like, let me try to wrestle this guy. It turned, first of all, I still think it's one of my best matches of all time. And it was like the first big one I ever had. It was, what was it? 2003, 2004, maybe. Okay. So that's 20 years ago. So part of my booking style probably comes from the idea that, all it took was one match against the right opponent. So I'm giving that opportunity to a lot of guys. Griffin McCoy gets that shot against Jay Lethal. Pat Dynamite gets that shot against Mike Bailey. Malik Delvante gets that shot against Brandon Kirk. A lot of these guys are getting opportunities against, already proven talent.
Yeah. No, and again, you see that pairing, and it's one of those where with all these pairings, you see that it's going to be that clash, but also it's that put up or shut up moment here for a lot of them. Like we spoke about even early on with Griff, it's one of those where now he comes into this opportunity, but knowing how he's been and that rise as he's been on, it isn't just I'm a felon. It's like, no, I can imagine Griff is coming into this like it should have been me from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's been on a rise from the best of the best, even facing Kenta earlier in the year. It's one of those where it's like he's been on that rise that it's like coming out of just being, he was with Jordan at one point. It's like, no, this is now Griffin McCoy.
Right, and that's the beautiful thing that I've been able to watch is all four of those guys kind of blossom into their own. At first it was just Jordan and the boys, and it's really turned into 4 different unique individual stars. They're all stars in their own right. And I don't know if you did I do it again? Oh
no. We can still hear you. Let's see if you can hear us. Can you hear us? Can you
okay, there we go. We're good.
Okay.
So I don't know if you saw that I announced earlier, Charlie Tiger is
yep, we have that on the graphic here with the mixed graphics for the
so the 6, so yeah, so the 7, because one of them you missed one, but it's okay. We'll talk about that.
Oh no.
We'll talk about that. We will, because he's not in that anymore.
Oh, okay. So no, I did it on purpose then, because I was like,
I know.
Who did I miss? And I know why he's no longer in that, but
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but again, and that just leads us to another, put up or shut up.
Yeah.
It's another show me match.
Yeah. So. But no, even that scramble though, it's gonna be great to see of having a lot of young, hungry talent in there, and pun intended with Charlie, of having that it's a moment to make, especially when one of the people in that is going to be none other than the notorious 187 Homicide, but also, again, a veteran in his own right. You have Azrael in there. You have Wade Kruger in there. You have Jeff Cannonball. You have Voyage in there. It's like there's so much of great talent that it's like it's gonna be one of those that truly
And
encompasses.
it's diverse. It's a diverse group, you know, like, and that's what I love about it is, and that's what I tried to go. I didn't want, you know, all of the same technique or same, you know, ideology in the
Yeah,
match. I wanted to make sure that every specific person in the match had a reason and a role for being there.
yeah. And I think it's perfect because I can imagine when this first graphic got posted, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. We're gonna see probably some of the guys that work JAP just put together. And then seeing this, it's like, no, it's perfect because it truly is a tribute of what JAP would do. Because you have the young up and comers in there, you have some of the seasoned vets, and you have such a mix that it's like, this is what JAP would do. Like,
Yeah, and it's I remember still, you know, being a 21, 22-year old and searching the JAP message board, or like cruising the JAP message board, and people posting videos of guys in other states doing stuff, and Fat Frank would jump on and be like, "Oh, you think this guy's good? Let me check him out." And he would listen to the fans, and that's how Ricochet and Chuck Taylor got brought in. Was, you know, Ricochet was a 16-year-old kid, and they posted a match, Ricochet versus Chuck Taylor. They posted a match in some, I think YouTube might have been first starting out. I'm not sure. It's all blends together, whatever. But they posted a match on the internet somewhere. Someone posted that link, and then Frank was like, "Oh, these are the guys coming in," you know, and he took a chance on people, and he brought them in because the fans wanted to see it.
yeah,
And that's definitely, for me, yes, the feel of JAP is kind of what we're not going for, but it's, I guess it feels home to me. That's why I'm promoting the way I am or booking the way I am, is because I feel like it feels like home to me to do that style of booking. But that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to, I think what JAP did very well was mix guys who were already established. I'm sorry, I keep saying guys, mixed wrestlers that were very established, and brought in people that weren't, and kind of combine that world until you create your own superstars. You create your own talented group of people. You can't do it until, you know, you've done a few shows, but that's something that JP was very good at, was creating their own, you know, superstar talent by using guys who already, or girls who were already established.
definitely. And no, and that's something like a show like this that you have opportunities like that. Like even this match that was announced recently, you have three competitors in there. Matt Vertigo, a little more seasoned compared to Junie and Sean Smith, but you have that where you get to establish something where this might be a first time people are getting to see Junie or getting to see Too Smooth, as he now likes to call it.
Too
Uh,
smooth.
it's one of those where they get to see that now, and can they go strike for strike and try to match the size of a Matt Vertigo in this one, and also the speed, because I got to give Matt that he has not only the size just advantage in this one, but the speed when it comes to a match like this.
Yeah, I mean, Matt's been, or at least had the tools to be um, excellent at everything he does
Yeah.
for a very long time. He has been hampered by some injuries the last couple of years, which has set him back a little bit. But I mean, I believe in Matt Vertigo um, way more than a lot of people that I've come along the way, and yeah, I'm excited to see the match just because I'm not personally as familiar with Junie's work as I am Sean Smith and Vertigo. I worked with Vertigo for years, so I know what he did. I know what he does, and I know what he does well. Um, Sean Smith, I've been on a few shows with him, but I've never worked him. I watched him and Azrael work at the Gangone show. Not the game. I'm sorry, the Monster Mac show. Right, that they worked each other. The
Yep. Yep.
Monsters Among Men, and then Junie came as a very high recommendation from a lot of people that I respect. And then I went in and watched a lot of his stuff, and I was impressed. So yeah, so that's another. um, that's another reason why he's there. Is, again, if someone I respect respects you, that's a huge thing for me.
Got you. I know, and that's been the best thing too, seeing who's coming through, who you get those recommendations for, and seeing a nice combination in there. But as we continue, we have the good brother Smiley in the chat. Good evening.
Hey, there he is.
And of course, Smiley would pop. Come on, Smiley. Come on.
I was just trying to not look red. It's the only hat I had.
Like I said, to me it's fine, but if Theo pops in here, that's it. It's gonna be interesting next Saturday.
Over. He knows. He knows. He's seen me post stuff.
But as we continue here,
I'm usually just not in people's face about it.
This is true. This is true.
Like
But,
this.
There you go. Just now is really gonna show.
Now it's over. Yeah, now it's over.
That's it. But like you said, again, it's about having a combination of both. Again, amazing wrestlers, male, female, just the best all around. And we have this as the partnership with Titan Enterprises here, as it will be a TCW Goddesses of War Championship match. Amity LeVay defending here against Valentina Vasquez. And this also having that, like you said, having someone that is more experienced like Valentina in there with Amity, who's been making her name now, and just there's something about her. I don't know what it is.
Isn't that the opposite though too? It's like Amity is the champion.
Yeah.
But it almost feels like Valentina is the one that's the veteran of the match, that Amity's now kind of like, oh well, this is a big challenge for me. Even though I'm the champion, it's a big challenge for her.
No, and it definitely is. And it's one of those where Valentina has been a part of that Goddess division for Titan previous. And it's one of those, like you said, she has that experience factor. Amity still very new in her career, but also has been making her waves. Like I was gonna say, I don't know what it is yet, that there's something that's just that.
Well, I mean, she's super athletic.
Yeah.
She does a lot of things in the ring that a lot of other women can't do, and she's very just she knows what she's good at, and she plays to it. And I'm a fan of both, but yeah, I think that's what separates her a little bit, is the athleticism.
Yeah.
But Valentina's not gonna give it up lightly. That's for sure.
Definitely not. This is definitely going to be, and what I believe is her second or possibly her first title defense here. Definitely not going to be.
I think it's her second.
Yeah, definitely not going to be an easy one here for Amity. And here we go. We got Theo Mack in the chat here. I talked about Theo's. We love you too, Theo. Thank you so much for popping in. And it's definitely going to be dope here, because Steve Monster Mac will be in action.
There he is. Were you waiting for that? You had that ready to go?
I had it in the system there. It worked out perfectly.
I think the word underrated gets thrown around a lot in the wrestling business. Like, oh, this person's underrated, whatever. Not just in ring, changing the game early on with what he did in JAP and even New York wrestling, but underrated in the effect that he has had on the amount of people he has had, and how his fingerprints are on so many people's careers.
Yep.
Whether it be teaching or just being there for someone, like as a friend, or even giving them pointers on how to handle yourself as a professional. I think Steve Mack is probably top 5 as far as, like, at least this area, that he's had his fingerprints on every person that your favorite wrestler has gotten advice from Steve Mack. Let's just put it that way.
No, definitely so. I could agree on that. It's one of those where I'm always glad to be under his learning tree. Anytime I can just get some knowledge out of Theo there. And again, he says it perfectly there. Me and him are always in sync. It's why we had a podcast, and it worked for so long. Unfortunately, due to scheduling right now, we can't do it, but the glory days will come back. So it will.
The glory days was when he used to interview people behind the scenes in JAP, because he is the interviewer in the greatest after match promo in the history of wrestling. And I don't know,
which is funny, because that's what the podcast basically was just a lot of guys that were around that that we just kept bringing on and just had for hours here with sharing stories. So one day
Oh,
we'll have to bring it back. We'll have to bring it back and definitely get you on for that because I can imagine the stories you two could share would
oh my God.
would be interesting. But
I know that we would just end up with a lot of high pitched laughter from Steve.
yeah, that was some of the episodes. Definitely so. But we will continue here because I do want to talk about this because, like we said, unfortunately, with Jordan's injury came the card subject to change with some switches. We saw now again with Griff now facing Jay Lethal, with Sean Smith now being a part of a new three-way dance, but Pat Dynamite now getting a huge opportunity here with a man that's talked about so much, a man that might be walking into this as the new TNA X Division champion,
Yeah. Yep.
Speedball Mike Bailey.
I don't think. Um, First of all, I don't think Pat Dynamite gets the respect that he deserves in the ring for what he can do. But also, I think Speedball is one of those wrestlers that continuously proves themselves, and still, for some reason, you won't hear his name in every conversation as top 10, top 5 wrestler in the world right now. But he's done enough to deserve to be in that conversation. And honestly, to have two people on this show that at one point or another in their careers could have been considered the greatest wrestler in the world is insane to me. And Speedball is one of them. So just I think this is a sleeper as far as like my favorite match to watch. I feel like this is going to be unbelievable. I think it's going to be a surprise for some people how well Pat can hang. I think people are going to go into this and be like, "Oh, I can't wait to watch Speedball," and they're going to come out of it saying that match itself was amazing. I think that's how it's gonna. I think most people are going to go into it being like, "Oh, I can't wait to see Speedball Bailey match," and then most people are going to come out of it and say, "Who's this kid, Pat Dynamite?" And I can't believe how good he was.
No, I can definitely agree with that. It was a pleasure to get to speak with Pat last week on the podcast and just hearing his hunger. Like it's something that I've gotten to
Yeah,
see throughout the
yeah.
years, that growth, but seeing now again his growth as a performer and just coming out on his own, being now Pat Dynamite here and seeing that hunger and seeing what he brings
I
to the ring.
think
It's gonna
I
be
think that going to the CZW school for them was a huge eye opener into what they could do. I think Jimmy Rave was huge for them in kind of opening their eyes into what they could do. And I think once they got on, and as someone who has seen them when we're talking Pat Griffin. I mean, Griffin wasn't part of the original 3 that I met. He came later on, and I met him kind of afterwards.
yeah.
But Charlie, Pat, and Jordan, seeing from where they were when I met them, and how they thought about the business until after they met Jimmy Rave and went to the CZW school, is completely different.
Yeah. And it's
So
one of
I think
those.
that's where they get. I think that's where they got that passion and that hunger.
I definitely agree, and I think that's something that when I spoke to Pat, it showed like it was definitely something that even unfortunately after the passing of Jimmy, taking that, having that respect for what he taught them and the respect
Yeah.
for the craft, and using that, this is definitely going to be one of those where an opportunity like this is not coming lightly. And you heard it in his comments what he said in the promo for Constant Wrestling for next Saturday. Like this is not an opportunity he's taking at just something as, oh, people are coming in for Speedball. It's like, no, you're going to come in and see how great of a performer Pat Dynamite is as well.
Right, but that it's words.
Yeah.
And I think Speedball said it best, man. He was like, how many people, have said to him like, "Oh, I'm gonna make my career off of wrestling." Speedball might be like, it's got to get annoying after a while being that good and having so many people just be like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna make my career off of you," and then he just completely shuts it down.
No, this is true, but I feel like just to again be unbiased here, I think Pat might be the one that can finally bring what he said. It's
Oh, I agree. I agree with you. He has the ability to do it, but he's got to show up and do it.
yeah. Again,
It's
we,
got
we
to be no words. Just do it.
definitely no, definitely so. But from there, another match I definitely want to touch on is this right here.
Woohoo!
Will be Brandon Kirk going head to head with Malik Delvante here, and just talk to us this pairing here of having Brandon Kirk go in there with Malik.
So Kirk is one of those guys that reminds me of that career path of the other few, like Charlie and like Pat and like Jordan, who started off and people may have looked at them and dismissed him, but he put the work in and he radically changed from the first time I saw him wrestle to maybe 2 years after that, coming back and seeing him wrestle again. He had improved more than anyone I probably have seen improve in that tight of a span. And Kirk is great. He's unbelievable, and it was very important for me to have him part of the show for two reasons. One, because I believe in him, and I wanted him to be a part of it because I believe in him. And then the second part is because he grew up in Sayreville and he's born and raised here. So I think that is, important for me to give back to someone like that, where that's his hometown, and for him to be able to wrestle in the same town that he grew up in is huge. And then Malik Delvante is a young go-getter who I had never heard of, and sent me sent Constant Wrestling a Instagram message with a link that said, "Hey, this is what I can do. Check me out if you can." And I watched what he sent me, and I was super impressed. And that's it. I'm not against allowing people that say this is what I can do to show me what you can do. And the matches with Casey Navarro, who, again, with Jordan, I met when they were 16 years old and followed his career since he was that young. So if you can hang with Casey, in my opinion, then you're worth taking a shot on. And that's where that came from. The matchup came about because I wanted to really showcase Malik in a way that gave him an opportunity to, just like the rest of the guys, shine maybe with someone that has had some success in wrestling. And Kirk, in my opinion, is at his best when he is moving fast and forced to have a fast-paced match. Because I think people get kind of surprised at how fast he can move and how quick he can move and the things that he does at the speed that he does. And I like that version of him, and I want to see more of it. So I put him in there with a fast, athletic wrestler so that they could bring it out of him.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. And I feel like you're gonna get to see that test here of seeing that speed and see again Malik showing what he can do. And I definitely I remember when we spoke about him and seeing that, I was like, that match in particular, I was like, him and Casey showed what he can do there, and I can't wait to see this pairing right here with him and Brandon. This is
I'm really excited for it.
And it's one of those where Brandon as well, just that growth of him as a performer. One of the first times seeing what he was, more of the roguish Brandon Kirk, and then just seeing that growth now as a performer, as a wrestler, completely. It's going to be interesting to see what he brings.
I think it took a while for him to get out of his own style that he kind of like was born into. Like I feel like the style that he learned when he first started was a slower kind of pace, and I think once he found the groove of being able to move faster and do creative things is really when he started to turn it on and do well.
Definitely. No, I think it was that getting out of just being comfortable and just being allowed to have that way of like now being inventive and doing more in there to just, again, turn it up in a sense.
Agree.
And here we go. We got some love for you here from Charles the Beast saying Archadia. There you go.
Hey, Chuck.
I love the love there. But from there, this is a match I definitely wanted to touch on because it features. He wants me to refer to him as my mentor now because it's something weird about this guy. I don't know what it is about Dr. Sleep and the Gangone that something's something's different about him now. Like you've seen Anthony Gangone, you've seen how that growth, even in the Quest, as the season 1 winner of the Quest here. But there's something different about Doctor Sleep, and as he faces damage here, and I I again
Are you familiar with Sean Damage McNellis at all?
I definitely have done my research now. When you brought the name up, I definitely wanted to look up as much as I could. And it's something where this is going to be a good pairing here because I want to see how Sean fares with that just ruggish style of what Dr. Sleep brings to the ring.
Yeah, so Dr. Sleep, Anthony Gangone, is someone who relies on a smothering offense. And Sean McNellis throughout my career has been probably my toughest opponent in trying to put them away because he never gives up. In my opinion, I've never met a more passionate, like just energetic, charismatic. Like I don't think Anthony Gangone has been in the ring with someone that has the passion for. I think the passion itself is not just for wrestling, but for the drive of wrestling. You know what I mean? Like I think his passion is being driven, and I think he gets more out of being in a situation where he has to push himself and motivate himself. And Dr. Sleep to me is the perfect motivator in trying to get the most out of people because he will suffocate you if you don't, like with his offense. Like he's just he is overwhelming with his offense. And if you're not willing to try to withstand, because it's coming, you're never gonna avoid it. You're gonna have to at least weather it long enough to try to find a way to crawl back into it. And I think that's what I've seen Sean do throughout his entire career, is weather the storm of people who can smother you with their offense and then continue on and keep fighting. And I think that's part of it.
I could definitely see that. It's one of those where it oh, shout out to Wade Kruger in the chat. Anthony Gangone smells, but Arcadia smells nice. Loving the show so far, guys. Thank you so much, Wade. Wade, I don't know if you should say that again about a guy that, like we said, has a smothering offense.
Yeah,
and this is my best friend I'm talking about, or I should say now my mentor, Anthony Gangone. And again, I saw him last weekend at Titan, and I did commentary on a match of his, and it's just it's a whole different side now. Like you said, that drive of what Dr. Sleep brings is it's something different. You know, it's something different. And a match like this is definitely going to be that driving force of making an impression here at Constant, but also showing why he is the inaugural winner of season 1 of the Quest here.
Yeah, and I think what he showed in the Quest is kind of what I wanted to bring out of him here. But I know that, you know, he mentally, emotionally, and even physically has changed a lot since the Quest was filmed. But I don't think his mindset has changed away from loving to beat people up. And
No,
I think
definitely not.
and I think that that's part of why I thought Sean McNellis was a great fit for him, because Sean can take a beating and keep coming at you. And I think that that's part of what I want to see is, I mean, I don't want to see Sean get beat up, but I
was going to say, I would hope not, but no, even in the comments Sean made getting to this match, you could hear the heart. You could hear that he's ready for what this battle brings at Constant. And he's going to need that. He's going to need that heart, miles and miles of heart in this one, in a fight with Anthony Gangone.
I agree.
And that's the thing too, that again, I say Dr. Sleep, but you never know what Anthony Gangone could be at Constant Wrestling. He's very unpredictable when it comes to that. We don't know which Anthony Gangone could possibly even show up.
I think that's strategy. I think that, you know, being someone who is a mind game person, that's something that Anthony Gangone loves to do, and I think that's what makes Sean so great, is that he's not one style.
Yep.
He's like he's whatever he needs to be.
Yeah. Again, we shall see what happens next Saturday. But from there, from one, I guess I could say very psychotic in a way, we go to another. But with that being said, it comes with some unfortunate news, I believe, Arcadia, as the original match was this one right here.
Yep.
So can you break the news, unfortunately, for the folks watching?
Yeah, and I think along the same lines as the disappointment that I felt when Jordan was, sent me the message that he couldn't go, I feel the same kind of disappointment as someone who has known this person since they were 9 years old. Is KTB is physically, at least at this point, he hasn't completely removed himself from the possibility of being on the show in some capacity. But I think he knows, the fans are going to try to or want to see the best version of him. And I don't think he's physically capable of giving the best version of himself, or at least he doesn't know if he's ready for that. And I think the pressure of knowing, is a big match. Charles Mason is a big time name now, and being able to be in the ring with someone like Charles Mason is a big responsibility. And I don't think that he wanted to have the pressure on himself, or the pressure on what it means to me to have him there, where he's now putting himself in a poor position for his health. And I think he needs to, as a person, think about that first, his health. And I think that it's a good decision for all of us. Not for the fans, but wrestling will be here after he gets healthy enough to be on the card again, just like Jordan. So it is sad, yes, that KTB will not be able to perform in this match. But again, like we talked about before, when one door closes for someone, another door opens for someone. And if I didn't make the decision to take a drive over to Dropkick Depression a couple weeks ago, then I would have never met Kwesi Asante. I would have never seen what he's capable of. And what I'm more excited about, more than anything, is now putting him in a position where the world can see what he's capable of. I'm not going to say the world, but people that are going to be there.
It's definitely going to be that option, because again, it's the ball's in his court now. Like, this is a situation where he is put in that option of originally scheduled. Like we joked about earlier, he was supposed to be a part of this matchup right here. But again, that opportunity knocks, like you said earlier for yourself. It's, hey, now you're gonna be here.
And I think, again, it's a perfect matchup for him. Maybe not for Charles Mason, because Kwesi is physical, and it's gonna be a physical match, and I can't wait to watch it. I can't. And as soon as I got the news from KTB, and we talked about it for a little bit, and talked about like what we were going to expect from or for Charles Mason, we went through a list of people, but we kept coming back to the same one, because we just felt like, along the lines as some of the other matches, it's a great opportunity for someone, but it's also going to be a great fit.
Definitely. No, and again, it's a perfect, just that physicality that KTB would have brought to Charles Mason. You get that as well with Kwesi here. But also, like you said, it's that perfect opportunity. It's something where also, hopefully, again, it's the, when it comes to Charles Mason, though, very psychological in this one. So I'm hoping Kwesi is ready for what the root of all evil brings to the squared circle.
Yeah, I think I keep going back in my head to Mike Bailey's comments about hearing the same thing over and over again. I'm wondering if Charles Mason sometimes hears the same thing from his opponents over and over again. And I won't be intimidated. I won't be scared. And it's words, and we need action here. So I'm hoping that with the physicality and the type of demeanor that Kwesi has, it's a good fit to be in that situation, because he doesn't seem to me to be the type of person that's going to back down from a fight or back down from something weird that a guy does in the ring that other people would be like, oh, that's disgusting.
No, I agree.
Running away from this man.
I agree, but it's also like you said, you can have that, you can say that, but till that bell rings and you're in the ring, we shall see. We shall see what happens. We'll see.
I've had moments like that too in my career, and you do. It is exactly like you said. You build yourself up,
Yep.
and you're just like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. And then you hear Homicide's music, or you hear Loki's music, or you hear, and they walk out, and you watch them, and you're just like, he's coming at me. Like,
Yep.
this is about, and then everything that you thought, all that positive self-talk, all of that, like, I can do this, goes right out the window. The first kick to the chest, or the first, drop on the head, you're like, all right, maybe I'll pray for this. Maybe I'll just pray for this to be over as soon as possible, and then we'll be in the back. Yeah.
But and again, I think that's one of those where for every matchup in this, I don't think anyone's walking into this without being ready for this. As much as they can talk it, I know every single performer in this is looking forward to bringing their best foot forward, their best strike, movement, whatever it takes to truly prove why they're on a card like this.
And the biggest compliment to me would be that every single person that we've booked for this show goes out and just tries to be the best version of themselves, but also I think I tweeted about the connection to JP that I kind of feel with this. We were surrounded by so much talent in the JP locker room, whether they were talent that was on TV or talent that was just, a homegrown talent, but everyone was talented. And I wanted to build a card where everyone that you see is talented, and you need to go out there and be the best, or else you're going to look out of place. So for me, part of the reason why I wanted to book the way I did was because I want people to really feel that inner, I need to give everything I got, because if I go out there and I half-ass it, then the crowd's going to see it, because no one else is going to go out there and give me half of what they can do. So I'm really, hoping, like I said, the biggest compliment that they can do is go out there and try to one up each other every match.
And I think
And
that's definitely going to be.
I think we've built the chemistry of the locker room is definitely that kind of vibe where I feel like all of them want to be the best.
No, and it's also the perfect situation of so many, again, great minds in the business. You're going to have that the locker room itself is just going to be everyone like, okay, we're doing this. And then it's like, oh man, if they're doing that, now we got to do, like, it's just going to be that everyone's going to have that motivation. It's going to have that feel, like, from the stories I've heard of JP as well. It's just kept hearing of, now we have to do this. We have to do this. You didn't want to follow this guy because they were going to try to go crazy. Now we got to go even crazier.
Yeah, and the JP locker room was in the same room. It was a giant, like, gymnasium type room that was just corridored off by a giant wall, but we could hear everything. So, you're getting ready for your match 7, and match 2 is out there, and you just hear the crowd going nuts. You're like, all right, well, we gotta step up our game a little bit. So I think that's part of it too, is being able to hear how much the crowd is enjoying the show.
Yeah.
And now you have to match that.
It's going to be, again, an insane atmosphere. If you guys haven't already, make sure you get your tickets now. Link to get those tickets will be in the description down below, but also to stay up to date with all things Constant Wrestling, make sure you are following them on their social media right there on Instagram, constant_wrestling. Follow them on X right there at WrestleConstant. Also, make sure, again, you are following the legend right here, Archadia, on all of his social media, so you can stay up to date with all things Archadia there as well. with both of his socials. Also, all that will be in the description down below. But Arcadia, before we let you go here, any final comments you'd like to make for the people watching at home about the insane event that will be Constant's inaugural event next Saturday, live July 27th?
I think we've done enough talking about what Constant is and what it's about. If you don't mind, I would like to do two things. One, none of this would be possible if it wasn't for the people at Titan Wrestling, Titan Championship Wrestling. They've been so good to us with whatever we ask for. Billy's been a great mentor as far as promoter wise and giving me tips, and I couldn't be more appreciative and more grateful for what he did. And two, which kind of it goes not against it, but like it's a completely different thing. Is I just wanted to congratulate Fight Factory Wrestling for having an awesome show last night at Martel's Tiki Bar. I heard nothing but great things about it, and there is a crazy thing in wrestling that most people don't abide by, is that if someone else is succeeding in wrestling, it's only going to help you succeed in wrestling. So the more people that are out there doing it and succeeding, the better it is for all of us. So I wish nothing but the best for all of those promotions out there, and I want the competition. It's going to make us all better.
Agreed. Definitely. It is the perfect, just if everyone's again succeeding, growing, it helps everyone, especially because it's a lot of talent that everyone wants to see succeed and keep going. But shout out to them. I definitely saw a lot of video and pictures, and it looked like an amazing thing, especially to be able to do it on the beach. Just looked crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Like,
it's pretty cool.
But shout out to them, and definitely again shout out to the whole team at Titan. Shout out to Billy, Charlie, amazing guys there, an amazing team, and amazing just whole roster as well. So, but
Yes, sir.
Idiot, thank you again so much for joining us here. It was a pleasure, and we definitely will see you next Saturday for Constant Wrestling. And everyone watching, again, go get your tickets, be there, and as always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft, and we'll see you guys.